Hello, Lucy fans. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is KJ Ricardo. Today's episode is a production spotlight. I'm going to be doing a series of videos looking at some behind-the-scenes elements of the making of I Love Lucy. So for my first video in this series, I'm going to be looking at the costume designers of some of the most iconic dresses and costumes on I Love Lucy. Now, there are so many iconic costumes. When you think about it, we associate Lucy Ricardo with the polka dot dress, but there are also so many elaborate costumes like the one from the fashion show in Hollywood and so many more. But who designed these costumes? Where did they come from? That's a question that I had, and maybe you had it too, and so I'm going to answer that for you today. So for the first two seasons, there actually wasn't a designated costume designer for I Love Lucy. They went to a off-the-rack department store in Los Angeles called R-Box, and they worked with a mistress there, Della Fox, and her assistant. She helped create some of the earlier, more inexpensive outfits that Lucy Ricardo wears in the first two seasons. But it wasn't until season 3 when Eloise Jensen came on board. She would become the designer that is most associated with I Love Lucy. She worked with Lucille Ball before. She was the designer for Lucy's movie called Lured. But Lucy loved Eloise Jensen. She loved her designs, and Eloise Jensen would become the person who would create the quintessential Lucy Ricardo look. So there's a lot of costumes like from Mr. and Mrs. TV show, the Martians episode in season 3, as well as the Marilyn Monroe costume that Lucy comes out in before they go to Hollywood. Here are some of the sketches that Eloise Jensen made and worked with to create that Lucy Ricardo look that we so often associate with I Love Lucy. This dress is from the Monte Carlo episode, and Lucille Ball loved it so much that she even wore it to the 1955 Emmy Awards. So she truly loved Eloise Jensen's work and loved working with her as well. So all of these sketches are so beautiful, and you can see it's interesting to look at a sketch and see the finished project on the screen. So Eloise Jensen continued to work on I Love Lucy, and then in 1955, she designed Lucy's wardrobe for the feature film Forever Darling. So she designed the wedding dress seen in the movie, as well as the yellow dress that you can see right here. But unfortunately, after season 4, Eloise Jensen asked for some more money. She wasn't paid very much at all for her work, which is kind of surprising to me since Lucille Ball valued Jensen's work so much. But it is what it is. She was denied her request, and she was replaced by another designer that Lucille Ball knew, Edward Stevenson. He worked with Lucy in the 1930s and 40s at RKO, so she knew who he was and had worked with him before, so that was probably comforting to her. He came on for season 5 and 6 for the Europe episodes, so he created the grape stomping and the Paris gowns, but also the last season with them out in the country. But going back to Eloise Jensen, because I just personally really like talking about her, and that she created the Lucy Ricardo look, and Edward Stevenson just kind of took her designs and incorporated it into his own designs for the last 2 seasons. So people really valued her work. She loved working with Lucille Ball. She said that when she got a new design, she would always think about what she had to work with. And she said for Lucy, the nice broad shoulders, the long stemmed waist, the lean hips, and those wonderful long legs. Working with Lucille Ball was a designer's delight, and I totally believe it. A funny thing is that Desilu Studios didn't have a wardrobe department. So Eloise Jensen had to bring in her own sewing machines, cutting tables, dummies, needles, thread, and everything that she would need. She had to bring it in herself because they didn't have a wardrobe department, which I think is really funny. Lucy would go over the sketches with Eloise Jensen as well as with Jess Oppenheimer. He wanted to make sure that the costumes would be appropriate for the show, so nothing was too revealing or anything. And Lucy also looked over the sketches with the same concept in mind to see if they would be good. Eloise Jensen's first day of work was working on Lucy and Ethel Buy the Same Dress. She was brought in to work for Lucy, but for this episode she had to create a similar dress for Vivian Vance. So she wasn't only designing a dress for Lucille Ball, but one for Vivian Vance too, and one that could be torn apart during the final scene of the episode, and that's a bit daunting for your first day of work. Another favorite design of Eloise Jensen's is working for the Charm School episode. This episode is so great. As we know, Lucy and Ethel go to a charm school to get more glamorous, and they wear these very elaborate dresses. Eloise really worked very hard on creating this outfit, and she said she was proud of the product, and we love it as well. So she continued to work on making designs specifically for Lucille Ball during her time on I Love Lucy. But one of the things that she really wanted to create for Lucy is something that would be kind of like fur. She wanted Lucy to have fur. So she said, well, why don't we bring in Stone Martens? Why don't we have Ricky give Lucy Stone Martens for an anniversary present? And this would become the episode, the anniversary, sentimental anniversary. But Lucille Ball didn't have Stone Martens, or no one had Stone Martens. So Eloise Jensen had to bring in her own Stone Martens for this episode, which I think is really funny, that the Stone Martens that you see right here were actually Eloise Jensen's. That's a fun fact. One of Lucille Ball's favorite dresses that she wore on I Love Lucy was the dress seen here in Sentimental Anniversary. It's very elegant, and also the viewing audience loved this dress as well. So Lucy loved working with Eloise Jensen, as well as it was a very compatible relationship between the two. And so Lucy later recorded a comment about Eloise Jensen for a tribute for her. She said, "Designing outfits for our television program was certainly a challenge for Eloise. The clothes not only had to look right, they had to allow me the mobility to move in and out of some pretty outlandish situations. In some instances, the clothes themselves made the joke. Clothes were always very important to Lucy Ricardo, and thanks to Eloise, women everywhere could sympathize when Lucy schemed to get that divine little hat, those Stone Marten furs, or that extra special smart suit. Yes, Eloise Jensen's design certainly contributed to the success of I Love Lucy, and for that I am forever grateful." I love that. I think that's so great. So that's all I have for you this week. I hope you enjoyed, and thanks for watching, and I'll be doing another production spotlight very soon. Let me know what your favorite design is of Eloise Jensen, and I'll be sure to read those comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. And remember to always inspire change.